How many hours a day did you have to play to do that sort of
Right.
push? Top
Mhm.
5 best brawlers, and then we'll do the worst. Do you think that this push would have been possible if you were free to play? What's up, YouTube? We have the #1 player in the world last season who had over 30,000 total trophies. Also, big YouTuber and streamer, none other than Ash. What's up, man?
Hey guys, what's up? And Coach Corey, thank you so much for having me on your channel again. It's a big honor as always. I love
Of
your
course.
channel. You have some of the best content for
Oh,
Brawl Stars on
cheesing
YouTube.
me
If,
up. Thank you,
if
Ash.
you're not subscribed to Coach Corey, then I don't know what you're doing.
And Ash, right? Now, look, man, I always love having you on the channel. You have a really good insight, always a top player. You had a crazy, crazy push last season, over 30,000
Mhm.
trophies. But look, I think everyone can appreciate that's a huge number, but it is a little hard to appreciate maybe. But I think about you had not one, not two, not 10, but every single brawler over 1,000 trophies. Like,
Right. Was
that's
definitely a difficult task. Also, one thing, like one disclaimer, I just want to say right now
okay.
is that even though, I got #1 global and 30,000 trophies, it doesn't mean that I think of myself as the best player in the world. I just did it as a self
Yeah.
motivation thing. So I don't want to make people think just because I'm at the top, I'm like the best player. Definitely not. There's so
That's
many
fair.
players that are better than me.
That's fair. That's true. But I would still say, especially compared to most everyone, I think you do have some really good tips. You spend a lot of time pushing competitive,
Mhm.
high level against top players. And I do want to talk about some specific like trophy pushing tips, but I also want to talk about that push as a whole because that in itself was kind of crazy. I mean,
Right.
tell me a little bit about that push. Was this like a multi-season effort? Could you do this in one season, or like how did that work?
Um, do this in one season? Definitely not, because you're gonna need to do a preseason. So before this 30,000 trophy push, I did a preseason push. Basically, I pushed to
That's just I think to the viewers that probably sounds insane.
so, but the thing is, I only pushed half a season for
Okay.
my preseason. So I didn't really take it
How high did
that
you get in your
far.
preseason?
I got to 27,000.
Casual,
So I
casual
could have
27,000.
right. But before that season, I was also casually pushing. I was just building up to it. So I was just playing, just to have a good standing
Right.
in trophies. So every time I lose, 50% of those trophies,
Yeah.
about 500 for your brawler, at least you're making your standing in the leaderboards a little higher. So when you want to make a big push, you want to make sure that
It's
you
easier. So
start off.
what did you start at? You got to 27,000, and what did you
Mhm.
reset to after that season?
So 20,800. Meaning, since my personal best was
Like
30,300, so I
22 something.
pushed so I pushed almost 10,000 9,500 in those 2 weeks.
Okay, that's insane. So
Um,
let's talk
mhm,
about that a little bit. How many hours a day did you have to play to do that sort of
right.
push? Was there any like
So
prep you needed or?
right. No, yeah. So to prepare, I made sure, during my preseason, right? Preseason, I didn't push for the last week of my preseason. So I was
Okay.
just chilling, just casually playing 1 hour a day,
Okay.
getting ready for my big push. So to prepare, I made sure, I had food, um,
Before you
did all
pushed
my
every time.
shopping, right? Made sure to, cook food as well, have food for the whole season.
That's
Um,
dedicated. I guess you have to be.
yeah, and you have to, because it's crazy. Time management wise, it was one of the hardest 2 weeks of my life right there, because
Yeah.
my sleep schedule is just all over the place.
How many
Um,
hours a day do you think you were playing Brawl Stars?
so I for the first week of my push, I probably played around 16 hours a day on average. And then the second week, I took it a little easier because I already hit #1 global on
Yeah.
my fifth day of the season. So I was I didn't have a goal. My goal wasn't to hit 30,000 at first. My goal at first was to just hit #1 in the world.
Okay. A good
And then
goal.
once I hit it, I was like, oh, let's go for 30,000 then, right? And I
It's a
didn't think
nice
at first
number.
Yeah, I really did not think I'd be able to at first,
Yeah.
but I was just pushing so much. And I was like, you know what, this is doable, this is possible. I could get there, and that's what kept me motivated.
Nice. All right. So I think, before when I asked this question, I've interviewed other top players, and before I asked this question, I think I always knew the answer ahead of time, but this time I'm not sure. Did
Hmm.
you ever play with randoms during this push?
Randoms, like once or twice, like especially in the mornings, because in the mornings you can't find like any teammates to play with in North America because
Yeah.
everyone's in school or work, right? So I believe I went on like a 40 wins and 3 loss run with randoms, which was like one of my best runs ever with randoms.
Nice. Yeah.
And yeah, I actually even posted that on my Twitter showing off. But um, thing is, like, you can actually win with randoms. You just got to use certain brawlers that have like what I call the carrying potential.
Okay.
Certain brawlers can just, you can carry a random team. For example, say
So
Terra in Gem Grab. If you can just get a really good pull, you can win the
yeah.
game.
So try.
And yeah,
So just to go on that point a little, because I think that's a great point. She's saying pick brawlers that have carry potential. So like, are you picking like the best brawlers for a
hmm,
game mode whenever you play
right.
with random?
Yes, yes. So I always use the best. Like if I'm playing with randoms, I would always use like the best
Yeah.
brawler that can like carry a team with. So
That
like
makes sense.
say like bounty shooting star map really open. You want to use
Hmm.
Piper because it's such an open map, and Piper is like the best brawler to use in bounty.
Yeah.
So you can actually carry randoms with your skill that way and consistently win. You want to consistently win. It's all about consistency whenever you're pushing.
There you go. That's true. So talking about, pushing, did you find that well, I guess like did you ever push trophies in solo showdown? I think because that's another mode
Almost
or
like
the other solo modes? Takedown
Like
Lone
solo
Star?
showdown, almost never, because it's like
No.
the most inconsistent mode to push in.
Yeah.
But for Lone Star and Takedown, I played a lot of that because during early mornings or even like midnight,
Hmm.
you're rarely gonna find teammates to play with, and you don't want to ever waste time, of course, when you're pushing, when you're in a big push. So what I did was I saved the best brawlers to push on those game modes. There are certain brawlers that are super
Ah.
consistent for winning in those game modes. For example,
Okay.
say Leon in Lone Star is so broken, so you can easily push him. So I pushed my Leon
Right.
actually to like I believe 1100
Yeah.
on Lone Star. It was just so consistent. I went on like a 25 game winning streak from 1000 trophies to 1100,
Yeah.
and it was like ridiculous. I couldn't even believe it. I think one thing I didn't mention was that even though like I played say like 16 hours my first week every day on average 16 hours, it doesn't mean that I actually played like 16 hours straight. It like that's just with the breaks, and also you have to account for matchmaking time. In high trophies,
Okay.
you have to wait for such a long time. So in
Oh,
actuality, out of the 16 hours, in reality, I only played for about um about 8 hours. Not eight, less than that, like 5 or 6 hours.
really? So you
I
think over
played in actual.
half the time was waiting for games as opposed to playing games? How long were you waiting on average?
Right. So like the average game would be about 2 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And the search would be about like 5 minutes, and it gets even even slower. At 1,000, above 1,000, the
Yeah.
search is gonna take like on average like 10 minutes. So it's really slow,
Yeah. That
especially
honest like well,
especially
that kind of sucks. Not gonna
right.
lie. So tell me about like what was the hardest brawler for you to push up? What was the easiest one?
So the hardest brawlers were, I would say, Jesse and Frank, mainly because Jesse's a very map dependent brawler. She struggles in any map, where throwers are common, where long range brawlers are common, and nowadays in the meta, they're like everywhere,
She's
especially in the
struggling. She's
Sandy
struggling.
meta as well. Sandy meta, because like if Sandy drops his sandstorm and that is invisible, your turret's not going to shoot anyone.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, that's another struggle that I had to
What
deal
about
with.
the easiest brawler?
The easiest brawler to push was probably Sandy, of
That's what I was
course.
gonna guess.
Um,
Do you still think it
but
would be the
no,
same
no,
even after the nerf?
I don't think as easy anymore. I think Sandy's a lot more balanced now.
Yeah.
Those nerfs, yeah, they did work, but I feel like Sandy's gonna be underrated. I believe like any brawler that has that can go invisible and support your teammates with invisibility is just very
A
like it's
team
gonna be
invisibility sounds pretty nice, huh?
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's always gonna be underrated, and there's so many like skillful things you can do with that strategies with Sandy. So he's always gonna be like underrated. Same with like Leon. A lot of people underrate him. Like he's not very good in 3v3, but in the right hands, if you're a pro, you can do so many cool things with him.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, so I mean, you had a lot of, you got overall over 1,000, so you understand the meta really well. I think playing a lot of high
Hmm.
level games. So let's talk about the best and
Right.
worst brawlers. You know, what would you say are? We'll just like quickly go through it. Your top
Hmm.
5 best brawlers, and then we'll do the worst. We'll start with off with
Okay,
the best
so
one.
top five, definitely BB,
Okay.
8-bit, Ambush Piper is so strong.
Yes.
Tick is really good right now, especially with the recent buff. He's gonna be even better.
Yeah.
Um, and also Terra is really strong. Um,
Tara. Well,
yeah,
really,
yeah,
what makes
she's
you put Tara in your top 5?
that recent buff just made her like
That damage
one of the
buff.
problems she had was that yeah, she couldn't like two-shot a lot of low hit point brawlers
Yeah.
like Crow, Barley, Piper, and yeah, now she's able to. Not only that, she's able to now three-shot certain brawlers like Shelly, Leon,
It's true, yes.
um, Daryl, brawlers that not Daryl, brawlers that she couldn't normally, but now she is able to. Not only that, she's like even like if you solo pull certain brawlers, you're
Yeah.
always going to get value and you're going to charge significantly like Pam, Carl, BB. There's so many brawlers to solo pull now. And she's just so strong because of that.
That's interesting. All right, but what about your bottom 5 or your worst brawlers?
So bottom five brawlers, I would probably have to put Jesse at the bottom. Same with Frank, Dynamite as well, because Dynamite is just so outclassed right now by Tick and Barley.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, Dynamite's just not a very consistent brawler. You see that a lot of people do have high trophy Dynamite in the
Yeah.
leaderboards, and mainly because of takedown. He's
Yeah.
just really good in certain takedown maps.
That's fair.
You can just safely stay behind a wall and just keep shooting at the bot. Um,
Any other brawlers you think are not in a good place right now?
like Leon is so OP in Lone Star, but in 3v3, not very strong.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
any
fair.
other brawlers here? Hmm.
Well, that's a good overview of the best overall, best brawlers, some of the worst brawlers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now I have a different question for you. You know, a lot of my viewers are either free to play or they're just not max accounts. Um,
Right.
so I want to talk a little about like free to play pushing. Do you think that this push would have been possible if you were free to play? Like even let's say you played a
Mhm.
lot, which is definitely true, and you got all the brawlers, but you didn't have all the star powers. Maybe you had like a fourth of them. Do you think
Right.
like how much harder would this push have been? Do you think you could have done it?
A lot of people would think it's impossible. Definitely not. It's very, very possible. I've seen many people like be, at the top 10 global or even number one global in the past
Yeah,
without like maxed brawlers. That's something I've always seen. And
yeah,
it's possible. Like it's not impossible. It's definitely gonna be harder. It's gonna be more challenging, but it's definitely, definitely possible. Even with like level 7 brawlers, you can do it. Because you got to
yeah.
remember that, like sure, you got a level 7 brawler as long as you can get like teammates that are maxed, of course, right?
That's
You got
true.
two
Right.
max brawlers and a level 7 brawler, and if you have the skill, you can overcome that.
Right, right. Well, if you're
You can
playing with
push.
other teammates who are
Right,
also not maxed, then yeah, that is going to be even more of a
right,
struggle.
right.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. I want to talk a little quickly about too the
Mhm.
new brawler Ems. What's your opinion on her? Is she a good brawler? Is she not? Or what do you think of her?
So I feel like it's too early to say, but she's a very decent brawler. I don't think she's OP though.
Okay.
Definitely very decent. She's so good against short range brawlers. So any map where you know, like tanks are used a lot, she's
Yeah.
gonna be very good in. Um, and yeah, I don't think she's overpowered in any sense. I could definitely see Supercell buffing her and then making her very overpowered because that's been like the pattern with every new brawler. If it's not good enough,
Yeah. All right, Ash, you've given a ton of really good tips. But I think one of the best ways to learn is really by watching someone and like interacting with them too. Is there somewhere like where can people watch you play Brawl Stars?
so like yeah, on my YouTube channel, whenever I was pushing, I streamed pretty much every 2 days,
Okay.
and yeah, you can still find those videos on my YouTube channel. My journey, you can actually see my journey every
Let's
day as
go.
I'm progressing on my stream,
You
and
and
you
your
can learn
cat.
right, yeah, you can find a lot of content there on like how I push certain brawlers to like even 1,000 trophies in my stream.
That's awesome.
Um,
I'll put guys, make sure I'll put a link down below to Ash's channel and pinned comment. So definitely check Ash out. Give him a sub. Ash, thank you so much for coming on the channel, man.
and thank you so much, Coach Cory, for having me. I love your channel, bro.
I love your channel too. Guys, that's gonna be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. We'll catch you later.